And here we are,
It's
Ryan.
really hard to understand when we start.
Yeah, we're starting now.
Okay.
Yeah. You
Let's
ready?
do this.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
man, I'm so ready.
Yeah, you ready? Oh, we're going to do a 0-point field today, right?
Yeah.
All right. So, woo, music time.
Cue it. Dang it.
All right. Do it again. And there we go. Yeah. We're doing it. I'm ready.
The thing is it's a broad spectrum of conversational thought there. I mean, if you put a brass knuckle and a baby carriage together,
It's going to sink like a rock. Baby-sized brass knuckles.
yeah, that'd be awesome. Like,
You're going to have to order that online on the dark web. So it's a fast baby.
yeah.
I would have entered in the Olympics. Did they try that?
I mean,
Could you just not corral it?
it was Satan,
Oh, it was Satan.
right? Yeah.
Oh.
I feel like if it was Satan baby, it'd be like, yeah, I'll run the race for you,
Yeah, sure.
and then not.
There we are.
Well, here we are.
Oh, yeah. I'm
All
excited.
excited? I'm excited too.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so welcome to Brass Knuckles
And baby carriages.
and the
Space between. That felt good.
Did that feel
God,
good?
that sounded good.
Did that feel good?
It was almost like you were acted on by the 0-point energy field.
No, nope. Sorry.
That wasn't it?
No. And the space.
If I can move on fast enough, we're moving on.
The space beyond.
That sounds like Star Trek.
Well, I mean, it's a B word.
Yeah.
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 Just like you're a B word.
You're a butthole.
You're a B word. I'm not a B word.
I'm not going to say that B word.
Unless it's beautiful or Batman. I am Batman.
You just because you talk like that doesn't make you Batman.
Yeah. My son Ronan, when he was like 5 or 6, like I went on this I am Batman phase.
Is that a normal phase?
Well, yeah. And so my only response to his questions was, I am Batman.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. He got so frustrated.
Oh, I bet.
Dada, you were
How long was this phase?
a year.
Wow.
No, it's just a few days.
What an amazing young man to be as positive as your son is.
Right, he is. He's a pretty amazing kid.
He is. He's
Yeah.
a great kid.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was pretty cute. Dada, you are not Batman. Stop.
It's before he realizes that it's fun to say things like that.
Yeah. I'm like, but Ronan, did you know? What, Dada? Did you know? What, Dada? I am Batman. Yeah.
What's wrong with my dad's voice?
I don't know. I mean, that's what happens.
When you're fighting crime.
Yeah.
When you're fighting crime.
That's what happens. You talk like this. I have to poop real bad. I wish I was the Joker because at least he has fun. I am Batman.
You see him at a donut shop.
Yeah. I mean, it's...
Do you have a bathrobe?
Yeah.
Why are you angry? Yes. Gross.
It's really hot in this suit. Yeah, no, we know. I mean, it's rubber.
Swamp.
Really.
It's a swamp down there.
Yeah, I mean, seals in the flavor. Right.
Kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Sinks like he's got a sink in that suit.
Yeah, so we're doing the 0-point field today.
Yeah. So I was looking into this a little bit, and
What is the 0-point field, Ryan?
well, it looks like the space around us isn't space; it's stuff. And the term that came up was quantum foam.
Quantum foam.
It is a sea of probability. Now, here's I love this definition. I wrote it down because it's so good.
Right.
A sea of probability from which virtual particles manifest and froth. Okay, this is science.
Yeah, this is science, not science
So
fiction.
I'm going to sum this quantum foam. Whole bunch of stuff could happen from made up things that decide to just pop out.
Right. Made up things, but they're things. They're
Things. They're literally things.
They're
just
measurable things.
Virtual particles that manifest and froth.
Right. So, but they are things. They know that they're there. Right. And the 0 point field, they say there's enough energy in the 0 point. That's this guy, I mentioned before, Hal Puthoff. Basically, he was friends with the son of the founder of Church's Chicken. I forget. You know Church's Chicken?
No.
So it's kind of like the Texas version of KFC.
Okay, gotcha.
Right. So now, do you know what it is?
I got a good idea. Yeah.
It's a chicken thing.
It's a chicken place.
Yeah, so for you, it would be cannibalism. Well,
I hope you feel real good about yourself right now.
Well, you know.
You are lucky there's a table between us.
I mean, as an owner of a lot of chickens, if you were a rooster, I would be frightened of you.
I'd be so confident because roosters are confident.
All roosters are confident.
Yeah, I love that.
Like unnecessarily so.
Yeah, but that's what I can take from them as a creature.
Yeah.
And the fact that they can really mess you up a little bit. You got to keep them away from you.
I mean, I know, because roosters are called cocks, right?
Right.
And I get, like, you call somebody a cock, like, it's like, or like, look at my cock. Like,
yeah, you're so arrogant. And
right. Because that's a rooster, right? Or you're like, oh, look at my cock. Well, like a rooster, a cock, like, just like, look at me.
Yeah.
So that's what you call your man bit?
I feel like if I called someone a cock, it would be because they're sprinting at a fence and trying to sprint through it to fight me.
Right. That's
like, what is that guy doing?
They don't care.
They don't seem to care.
No, we're fucking roosters, man.
Man, you got to have one. How that can fight off a coyote, I don't get it.
I don't know.
Doesn't always win, but it goes for it.
They don't care.
Yeah. It doesn't know that losing is an option.
No.
I'm going to go fuck that thing up. Whoa, careful.
Yeah, you're going to die.
You got a limp right now. Remember you fell off that little house?
Fuck that. I'm going.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
This thing better watch out.
My rooster is named Johnny Cock.
Johnny Cock.
I'm kidding. His name is Mr. Pickle, which is kind of similar, I guess.
Mr. Pickle. Yeah, that's a tough name.
My kids named it.
Reminds me of my wedding.
Yeah, you know what I wanted to name it? I told Ryan. I was running. You know what we should name it? He's like, what, Dad? What? I go, I am Batman.
He's probably just quiet.
He's like,
oh, I hate you, Dad.
God.
I love you, but I hate you.
We walked right into it. Yeah. 0 point field.
0 point field.
Yeah, it makes
Bubbling
sense.
froth.
Mm-hmm.
So made up stuff.
But it's not
possibly made up.
Yeah. Here, I mean, but the thing is, we've measured it, right? We know. So Puthoff, Lorentz, or Puthoff, Rhoda, and Lorentz. They wrote this paper, like I think 89, 90-ish. It's about inertia, right?
Okay.
So this whole idea of inertia, right, is mass, right? The bigger, larger an object is, the more energy it takes to initiate movement, and the more energy it takes to stop that movement, right?
Right.
So, and which is fine, right? That's like classic physics. Like, yep, that's how it is. And here's the thing: is why, right? But why? You know,
yeah.
And what?
Why is that a rule?
Well, kind of what they figured out is essentially the 0 point field exerts a force, an unknowable, unseeable like force on that object, depending on how many molecules or atoms or whatever in that object. Like the denser the object, or the more atoms and molecules it has, the more force exerted on it by the 0 point field. And so it's an energy equation about putting in energy into that object to create motion in order for it to overcome the energy being sort of waves impacting on the 0 point field, acting upon that object. So
wow. So that pressure, if you will,
right.
That's why now thermodynamics I saw everywhere always like seemed like these are associated all the times, like laws of thermodynamics.
Yeah,
is that?
And I don't want to focus too much on the science on this. I want to focus more on the idea of how the 0 point field and how we can actually interact with it and how it's connected to us.
Well, then let's talk about that. Let's interact with this thing.
Yeah, I mean, but I also want to talk, like, I do want to tie in the idea that this is a measurable thing. This is studied by science. Like, this is something that happens, right? And it's also something that we can tap into. And we have. And in our last podcast on the stuff about remote viewing,
the thought is that we're actually tapping into the 0 point field is not just an energy field, but it's a field of infinite information, right? And we can go down this path of a holographic reality, and that's what we truly exist in.
Right. I think Elon Musk loves that.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of truth to that, right?
Sure.
And so there's a lot of
simulation talk, right?
Well, it's not a simulation.
That's just what that's like a inherently negative person would call it, a simulation.
Right, but it's a holographic reality in terms of like the way, heck, I mean, even our eyes themselves, like the way their brain interprets information.
Oh, you're saying like the way we're picking up the particles around us.
We receive things holographically, like light, the way that we actually transmute light in our own eyes. It's not this two-dimensional image that gets put on top of the film screen in the back of our head and flipped upside down.
Right, we see that.
That's
the drawing.
And everyone gets taught that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they still get taught because it's way easier to explain than the fact that we actually those electrons and photons carry information, and we can tap into that quantum level information and actually use that information to construct an image that we can actually see and interact with. Like, we don't want to say that.
No, it'd be a lot easier to say, I see upside down.
Right, which you don't.
What?
No, because that's an antiquated version of perception, right? But that's still taught, right? That's still, I took anatomy a few years back, and that's still what they teach. Well, you see it upside down, and it goes on the rods and cones. That's not actually what happens.
Well, people don't reevaluate. They're like, all right, Chuck, where are we at with this vision thing?
Yeah. No, they did.
Let's just keep going with the old one. That's a lot easier to explain.
There was a scientist a few years back that was actually working with a different. He was working on that, and somebody was rewriting a book on perception and how people see, and it was a school book or whatever. And they asked this scientist, I can't remember his name right now, to help him. Well, how does perception work? How we see? And then he, because he was going on this study, and it had to do with some stuff with Fritz Popp, who was a phenomenal scientist, a doctor, a physicist, doing some stuff years back in terms of like the way light works in the body and how we actually emit light and we use light as a communication. And this goes into this 0 point field thing where light and electrons and subatomic particles emit frequencies that act. And atomic particles, atoms, whatever, molecules, emit specific frequencies. And those frequencies send out frequencies like waves, right? And they send out specific waves unique to them. And then those are essentially information that gets put out in it. And some of them move faster than light, right? It gets put out in the 0 point field. And we're essentially, through our own vision, tapping into the 0 point field to be able to see. Right.
Wow. So right there, it's fun for me always to think about anyway, like, are you seeing the same thing I'm seeing?
Well, I don't know. That's a tough, nobody can ever answer that, right?
Right. But I love that because through conditioning, natural conditioning, you have been taught that coffee cup looks just like that.
Right.
And you've always said it does. And now I look at it and I say, oh yeah, it looks like that. And we can kind of talk about what it is, but who knows how you're seeing stuff.
And we're not even going to talk about the fact that like all the electrons surrounding all the atoms that create the molecules that make up this object exist in a probability cloud and don't actually take up a location or take up physical space to include the molecules and atoms and stuff in your own body. They exist in a probability cloud and they don't actually take up physical space. So 99% of you isn't actually you. It's just empty space.
But we agree on, like, look at me. Badass. Badass.
My point is that nothing solid is actually solid.
Yeah, it's so crazy. You had mentioned that in a previous podcast.
Yeah. So nothing solid is actually solid, and it's just a field of probability because two electrons can't exist in the same probability cloud as some sort of agreement, I guess. I don't know.
Right, rule. It's just a rule.
Right. What's a rule, right? F equals ma, force equals mass times acceleration is a rule, essentially. And we talk about inertia, it's a rule, but we didn't understand, like, where the fuck does it come from and why?
Right.
Like,
why is that a rule?
Like, what the fuck is gravity? We can make rules about, how about magnets? Let's just talk about magnets. Why,
I love them.
Why do magnets work?
Because of magnetism.
Right. And what is the force of magnetism exactly that's taking place?
I don't know, man.
So when you're talking magnets and magnetism, you're talking result.
But if I can come up with a magnet that sticks to plastic,
Right.
billionaire.
They don't know how it works. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy because it's something that we've used since we were the tiniest of babies.
Since the dawn of time.
Since the dawn of time. Hey, look at that. I can hold a piece of paper with this thing on a piece of metal.
Yeah, bam.
Or I can
I'll
rub
stick-
this thing over something and now it holds a piece of paper on a piece of metal.
How's it work?
Well, people always said, remember, it just straightens the electrons all into the same direction and now you have a magnet.
But
Is that true?
Again, in terms of actual magnetism,
No, I know. The actual force
right? The
being
actual
applied.
force,
not-
the magnetic force, that operates through space through some unknown mechanism, right? We don't know. We don't know. We don't know what it's doing exactly.
And you can rewatch Interstellar all the times you want, but you're not going to ever get that answer by Matthew McConaughey.
No, I don't.
But you're going to see how much he loves his kiddo.
Where are we going right now?
I don't know, man.
I'm totally lost.
I should go get his book.
Matthew McConaughey's book
Yeah.
on.
Him.
Oh yeah,
It's just a book on him.
Isn't that like the most narcissistic thing? Here's a book about me because I'm a famous actor.
Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe a bunch of in the comment box and Ryan, how about a book on you? And I'll go, you got it.
Yeah.
Get ready for some.
I mean, of course, this is coming from a guy. Like, I'm having a documentary made about me right now. So,
Right.
Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah. Speaking of, you narcissistic son of a bitch.
I didn't ask. I didn't.
He called so many companies to find.
None of that is true.
No.
So the quantum, the 0-point field, right, is this quantum foam, right? This place that exists because they say nature abhors a vacuum, right? And they're like, and they create a vacuum. There's no such thing as a vacuum because quantum particles and the quantum field exists.
It's potentials.
It's not just potentials. It's there, right? It's there and it's not there. It is there. It isn't there.
But isn't that why you couldn't really create a vacuum?
Right. You can't because the quantum particles can just move throughout that, like, anyways.
Right, because it's blinking in and out all the time
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah. But I mean, then if you look at like the Casimir effect, right, in terms of like the 0-point field, which
Okay, we're gonna have to talk a little bit about this because I was talking to you about the Casimir, and I liked your description.
it's not mine. I heard it from somebody.
Well, obviously you didn't conduct the experiments.
So
Dan's got a garage.
yeah,
It is a cool place.
I mean, it's got some toys in there,
I got a battery, DC car battery.
some ray guns.
So what is this Casimir effect?
So basically, it's the idea that if you take two pieces of metal, right, and you put them together, they tend to stick together.
Okay.
Right? And they want to stick together, or maybe it's a specific type of metal, I don't remember, but and people are like, well, why? And it's called the Casimir Effect, and ultimately what's happened, and if you think of it like as an ocean of electromagnetic waves, or an ocean of 0-point energy around you at all points, right? And you take these two pieces of metal and you block off.
Now hold on. Can I pause you for a second?
Yeah.
There was a porn shop down the way a long time ago that used to sell magazines. Mm-hmm. And the Casimir Effect, I think, was also on those magazines. Is that the same?
That a guy named Casimir had an effect on those pages.
Or, I mean, I believe that stuff could be called Casimir. I mean, I'm trying to understand. I just want you to go slow.
I don't need to talk about your teenage years anymore.
Oh, okay. So I did my own experiments.
Right. Well,
So go on with what you were saying, but I think I get it.
Right. Yeah. So ultimately, like for example, if you had two boats and you anchor them relatively close to each other in the ocean, right?
Okay.
When you think about the ocean, it's got waves coming from 360 degrees, all different directions on these two boats. In between the two boats, there'll be slightly less waves, right?
Sure.
Because each boat would be blocking
something.
out those waves, right? And so because there's slightly less waves in between the two boats, those two boats tend to get pushed together, right? So that's the Casimir effect in a nutshell, right? You have these two pieces of metal, and in between there's slightly less electron frequency vibrations, stuff like that.
Or you can think of it as slightly negative.
Right.
if you wanted to think that way.
Right. Even though it's negative in relation to what's around it.
Right.
Right.
Relative to.
Yeah, and it's creating a difference or a gradient there, right? And so because of that difference, right, the pieces of metal tend to get pushed together.
Yeah.
Or feel stickier together. Right.
Right.
Like
Why won't page 53 open?
Nice.
What happened there? What's on that page?
So, I mean, that's kind of a physical example of like the 0-point field, right?
Okay.
And so it's not an electromagnetic field per se. There's aspects of magnetism to it.
You might be right.
Yeah, I don't know. But I'm not a physicist by any shape or anything like that. But I want to talk about the 0-point field in terms of like you and me. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. So here's another thing too, that like back in the day, they were doing studies on memory, right? And so this one guy in the 20s or whatever came up with these things he called engrams, right? Well, this is where memory's held.
Yeah.
He did these studies saying that memory, when he stimulated epileptics in a very specific way, they would have a specific vision and recall things, right? And he's like, well, that's because I'm stimulating this part of the brain, and that's where that memory is held. And so he's like, memory's held in very specific parts of the brain. So there's this other guy, Lashley, who's like, oh yeah, I'm going to teach some rats how to like do this little thing to jump through this thing over some pond water, right, to get their treat, right?
Okay.
And then I'm going to remove parts of their brain to find out which part I removed to locate where that memory was kept, right? And so this guy went through.
So do you use the same rats for every?
So he was super scientific, right? And this is in the like 1929 or something like that.
Okay.
So he used a curling iron and just would burn out part of the brain, right?
Oh.
And
right on.
They would die in the next day or anyways. But so what he found out is he kept doing this, like burn this part, burn that part, and then burn more and more and more parts. And he would interfere with their ability to like walk or whatever. But guess what the rats could always do?
What? Hate their circumstances.
Remember
Really?
how to solve the puzzle to get to the food.
So he couldn't find the spot.
He couldn't remove the memory. Regardless, I mean, he would like fry out almost their whole brain.
Whoa.
And he couldn't remove the memory, right? Was unable to remove the memory of these rats. And so when you look at EEGs and stuff like that and about memory recall and stuff, you got your neurons and your dendrites and the space between, right? That's the axons and whatever, right? All that stuff. And they're firing, right? When you do memory recall, you tend to have a slightly more global effect in your brain, right? So memory isn't housed. Now, there are things that are housed in specific locations in your brain. Like we found that people, tend to learn like languages in one part of your mind,
Sure.
right? And motor function is in another part of your mind.
Speech and
Speech is in another part. Now you can stimulate those, or you can remove those, or those can be damaged or whatever, and that can affect you. But then people can relearn those skills sometimes.
that's cool.
Not always, but sometimes they can relearn those skills, and then they use different parts of their brain to do the same function, right? That can happen, right? But when it comes to memory recall, they've found that there's science behind this. There's an activation into the 0-point field to actually pull quantum level vibrations, right? So there's this thought or this idea that
Ooh, I see where you're going.
your memory isn't stored in your own skull. It's stored in the 0-point field.
You're just recalling it.
It. So your brain is like your consciousness, and your physical mind is like it's kind of like the key in the lock kind of thing. It has the ability to unlock those specific memories in the quantum field, in the 0-point field, and pull those back and use those. That's why they could never remove the rat's memory, because they carried the ability to recall it, not the
I love that. I love that concept. There's two takeaways. One, that is an awesome concept, and what's the limit of that? If that is really what's going on. Two, if I think this podcast causes my wife to be mad at me, I should use her curling iron to burn the brains out of rats. That guy's wife must have just come home like, fuck. Are you kidding me?
That's my fifth curling iron.
Are you kidding me?
What the fuck?
What are you doing?
Everyone talked like that in the 20s.
Yeah, I think so. Come here, you.
Yeah.
Come here, see.
You want to go see the Dodgers?
You got straight hair now, see? Let me borrow this.
Yeah.
Wow, I bet that house stunk.
Oh my gosh. Fucking
Rat brains.
burned rat brains.
Yipes.
And pond water. It wasn't just water, it was pond water. they
Yeah,
found.
why? So there was an actual description that said pond water.
Well, I mean, in the book I read, Lynn McTaggart, she was describing the experiment, and it was pond water was the actual
I
description.
wish it was soiled pond water.
So the book is The Field by Lynn McTaggart. It's a great book. Talks about lots of stuff we're talking about in much more detail and much more specifics and much more succinctly. But since you're too lazy to read a book and you're listening to this, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
You're probably not.
Yeah, no.
Dan.
No, say nice.
Don't, yeah, nice stuff.
Yeah.
Remember, we're positive.
I'm
hoping.
I'm actually too lazy to read a book. I just listen to them on audio. So
That's good.
that's not even what I do. I'm
Well, if I looked at you, I wouldn't assume that you could read.
right, I can't.
I love it.
Right.
I'm just kidding.
So this idea that memory is recalled from the quantum field, the 0-point field, right? It's actually, there's stuff on the story. The water has a memory, by the way.
Oh, yeah. You mentioned that previously. Now, is this the time we can get into this a little bit?
Nope, not yet. But
Okay.
I'm just going to kind of throw that little nugget out there again of we're 70% water. Water actually has the capacity to carry electron vibration memory, right? And so think about that. And here we are with our minds that tap into the 0-point field, that tap into electron vibration, frequency vibrations and wave patterns and stuff like that to recall memory, right? When you think about that, if that's where our memory's at, this idea of what is a ghost?
Yeah.
Like what is a ghost, right? Is a ghost?
A memory just floating around in the...
Well, here's the thing too, is we know, like last podcast, like the idea of time and time dilation and
yeah, it's not hard and fast. Is it?
no, it's confusing. It gets really easy if you remove time, right? So take time out of it. What is a ghost? Like, is this a future memory, like your own memory? Are you like if you're seeing a ghost or you're experiencing thoughts, right? Are you pulling thoughts out of the 0-point field, like someone else's thoughts,
Or maybe a thought so powerful
right?
or emotionally charged or something.
Yeah, or
Still
psychics.
there.
Are psychics just they have like a skeleton key? Like instead of like their own key, does psychics have a skeleton key and the ability, like say that to talk to the dead, the ability to actually tap into the 0-point field and pull information that's out there, right? Memories and thoughts of other things, beings, consciousnesses that's out into the 0-point field, because it kind of exists. It's not like, well, here's this wave and it's in this location at this time. It kind of is and it isn't, right? Because they know that like these particles appear and disappear, quote, seemingly at random in the 0-point field, right?
Yeah.
But if you broaden your lens big enough, you might be able to determine the origins of those, right? Of those, like maybe this is what created this ripple or that ripple, right?
Now, to clarify, you're talking about psychics, not sidekicks.
Oh, either way. What if you have a psychic?
Because Robin was pretty freaky. I know he was up to something.
Right, yeah.
But no, I think, we each have aptitudes, right? And a psychic that,
I got a bad aptitude.
I know.
Just walking around.
We have to deal with it all the time.
Isn't that the name of a band from the...
Bad aptitude?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think... You might be thinking Blue Oyster Cult.
Or bad attitude.
Or Bad Attitude. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Blue Oyster Cult.
Right. Well, the great band.
A great band,
That Will Ferrell sketch. More
Fear
cowbell.
the Reaper. I just recently saw the sheet music for the cowbell in Fear the Reaper.
Is that real?
It's just
Cowbell dominated.
just marching along.
Right, good for them.
Yeah, just ding, 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 ding. Yeah,
That's called being true to yourself.
right. Is that what it's called?
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
no one believes in this.
I believe.
Like tambourines. The 70s was the greatest ruse of all time because a bunch of people were strictly tambouriners.
Yeah, That's actually a good point.
Yeah, the entire culture at that time valued tambourine up with a sweet ass guitar solo. And you
Right.
watch people, they're like, I mean, they got their style down, and I'm not ripping on them. They way to fucking go. But how did that happen? Because if you came to me right now and like, shh, ting, ting, it's like partial drum
Yeah.
with a bunch of little cymbals on it,
Yeah.
uncontrollable sound, loud as fuck.
Right.
We're going to write music that centralizes this.
Right.
I don't know, man. Well done.
I mean,
That's something with the 0 point field for sure.
right. It's still out there somewhere. I mean, that sound isn't dead.
If I bump into tambourine memories at a certain hall, I am out.
And just saying, you're walking down a spooky old abandoned hospital. and then there's
That's the tambourine wing.
Yeah, and then there's this apparition that appears, right?
And I'll happen to be hungover that day, so it's like, wow, fucking treble. So much treble.
Oh my gosh. You got bell bottoms and a tambourine. Yeah.
Now you add cocaine in there and a tambourine.
Yeah.
Tambouriners had to be on coke because
Coke.
they're so jacked.
Cocaine and a key party, right?
I'd be out of that old hospital wing in a second.
I just seeing that apparition. That's a scary thought.
Yeah, you're crazier than a coked out tambouriner.
Yeah. At a key party.
Got a key part. I'm not sure I understand the key part.
I think that's an old reference to swingers back in the day.
Oh, I didn't know what that was.
Yeah, they took all their keys and put them in a fishbowl, and then when you took the key out, it's like that's who you got. For the night. Yeah, it could have been you and another dude.
Did you have to do it in their car?
I mean, I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not that old, and I've never been to that kind of party. So,
You know what I heard? Since you brought it up, 0 point field.
Right.
I heard statues of lions are kind of like you see them at houses. That's like a signal for swingers in this area.
A statue of a lion.
Yeah, concrete lions or something.
I think somebody just made that up.
It could have been.
Yeah.
But I keep going there trying to hunt people, and I have not. I, of course, have an alias, Nicholas Van Damme, burn on a bandana in hand.
What did you just say?
Nicholas Van Damme, burn on a bandana in hand.
You said it twice.
Yeah, no, I can say it all day long because that's the name I created when I was younger and I was up to no good. So a cop would always say, "Hey, what's your name?" I'm Nicholas Van Damme, burn on a bandana in hand.
Was it, when we pretended to be gargoyles and we almost got arrested? Was that the name you gave?
I think we got arrested because we ran. We led them on a chase.
Oh, it was so fun.
It lasted for 45 minutes, dude.
Yeah, we just threw.
I was in windows. We were out of windows.
Through the dorms.
Now, if you recall, they told me I couldn't come back
to campus
for a year, and then we tried it a few months later, and then they escorted me off campus. I thought, they're serious about this.
Yeah. Oh, they escorted you off campus, but you lived on campus.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm talking about when we came back and visited.
Oh, they did.
That's the year we did. We did run from them then, but we had a huge chase.
Yeah.
Do you recall this?
Yeah.
It was 45 minutes of RAs and security.
Yeah, there was cops everywhere.
Yeah, it was a terrible decision.
It was so fun.
It was really fun.
And I gave him a fake name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't have Nicholas Van Damme burn on it a bandana
No,
created
actually,
yet.
that guy Dubaz, I gave him the name Dubaz.
You did. I remember that.
Yeah.
And I said, Ryan. Oh, fuck. I think I went first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I gave him a fake name.
That's why I couldn't come back and you didn't get in trouble because you didn't exist. So much smarter.
Yeah, even then.
You special opsed them.
I did.
That's a real story, by the way. And there's a reason that when I would leave with my buddies, I would hear the last thing, and it's comical in my friend group, the last thing you would hear my dad yell down the street was, "Ryan, keep your head out of your ass." Right. My friends would always laugh like, geez. But because he knew. He knew that was coming.
You got around me.
Yeah.
And your dad wasn't there because we were in college.
No, my head was in my ass. I get it now.
Yeah. We really made a lot of poor decisions back then.
Yeah. Luckily, I've changed.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So back to 0 point field.
Yeah, my bad. That was a long tangent.
Yeah.
Thanks for hanging in there.
No, I appreciate it. I'm sure they love it.
Yeah.
It makes you a real person.
That's right.
Who
We all
almost-
make mistakes, you guys, and that's the point.
Yeah. And who
We can get better today than I was yesterday.
That's right, Becky. Karen. Cat's Moon Coffee.
Yeah,
All right. So
it's great.
the people listening to the podcast have no idea what we're talking about. But
Nope. It's a coffee cup.
all right, yes. And all he reads is coffee cups, as we've discussed.
It's quick.
Yeah. Makes sense. So the 0 point field. Anyways, we can tap into that, right, for our own mind, right? Not only do we tap into it, we actually we experience these moments or these things, and these people have these premonitions and stuff like that. There's a story of a very famous researcher. I can't remember his name right now, but he was studying this whole idea of remote viewing, right? And it might have been Hal Puthoff. I'm not sure, or someone close to Hal. And he had this. He was trying to do just kind of this open-minded kind of experimentation and stuff. And he's sitting in his house, and he had this sudden and powerful vision of this motorcycle driving at him with bright white lights, and like he's like, "Oh crap!" Right? And then he's like, "What the heck was that?"
Yeah.
Right? And then his wife came home that night and was like, "Honey, I almost got hit by a motorcycle." He's like, "What the fuck?"
So he borrowed hers.
Right.
He saw hers.
Well, he at the moment that they figured out, the moment that he experienced that vision was the moment that had happened.
Whoa.
So they were connected, right? They were,
Makes sense. Your spouse.
and you want to say, oh, psychically, whatever. Like they're connected, like they're able to tap into each other's thoughts and visions, right? Through the 0 point field, right? And through this quantum level communication that takes place.
See, I think you're touching on something, because this sounds weird, and I'm not going off on one of my dumb tangents, but my wife and I will lay in bed sometimes, and we call it vibing each other.
Right.
It's a clothes on thing. It's not. And where we lay there and we focus loving energy on each other, okay? Mm-hmm. If you're not at the point with your wife that you can do that and stuff, I get it. You know, if it seems dumb, but the more you do this kind of stuff, the more you open up to these things.
Right.
And we were laying there one night, and we were both starting to fall asleep, and we're just trying to send, love energy to each other. And then all of a sudden, I had the vision of all these strawberries and blueberries and, all this beautiful fruit platter. And I'm glad I said it out loud, but I said, as we're falling asleep, I said, "You're thinking about fruit." And she kicked up and yelled, "What?" And that was what she was seeing. We shared that. And I thought, well, how the hell was that possible? But now, yeah.
So they've done experiments where they hypnotize people together,
Okay.
and they have them staring at each other. And what happens in these experiments where they hypnotize people together is they have shared hallucinations.
Ooh, that's cool.
They see the same things together. Hallucinations together. They have shared hallucinations. And there's these experiences of people being able to communicate with each other, right, without speaking or anything like that, when they do these hypnotize people together.
Uh-huh.
And so there's no real explanation for it. But when you start looking, again, like I said,
Yeah, why would you share that?
right, when you start looking at this idea of this field, this ever-present field around us, that actually is this information field, right? When we find ways to tap into that hyperconsciousness, and that, like, being in a hypnotic state is being in that hyperconsciousness state. When we're able to relax enough and have that and go into alpha waves, then we can start to experience and see and touch the world in a different way, right? And so it means that we have the appropriate, I know I've used antenna in a pseudo-negative way in the past, but this is like, we have the appropriate antenna in our own head where we can connect with the greater world, not just the world, but the universe, right? And listen to it, because all the information is out there, and all we are is essentially quantum level frequency, vibration, wave information. That's all any of us are, and that's all this is, right?
Well, that's all you'll ever be. Oh, sorry. That's good.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah.
I tried to make it negative. That's too good. That's what my grandma used to say to me. It's all you'll ever be.
What? Your grandma?
You'll be everything. No, she did not say that.
She a nice lady, or?
She was a wonderful lady, but she was definitely of that time.
Oh.
And her belief system was very backwards.
Yeah.
Very proper, judgmental based.
Yeah. It's
sad.
It's an interesting thing. I have a story that I've been wanting to share about going to a Catholic Mass on Easter.
Oh, God.
I'll still save that for later. But
my brother set his hair on fire during Easter Mass once.
On purpose? Or?
Nope. He was just bored laying back with those candles.
Oh, yeah.
Lit the whole back of his head on fire.
Boom, there it went.
Right. We were in the elevated spot in the back, too. It was a show. That church stunk. So, sorry about that.
Well, yeah. So, so this 0 point field, we have this interconnectedness, this complete and total interconnectedness in our own body. I mean, our body essentially is built to communicate, right, in ways that we can't truly understand. I mean, it's been found that like DNA essentially communicates through photons.
Yeah, there is.
And microtubules exist in your own body basically at the same size to basically shoot electrons and photons through it, right? And, these tiny micro nanometer, microtubules throughout your entire body, right? Everywhere, every cell, everything, right? And so it's pretty amazing how we are our own body. We don't even know how our own body communicates with itself. We say, oh, it does this, it does that. Well, there's things that act faster than the physical process can actually take place. The reaction, the way that the body responds to stuff. And there's no like true, no scientific definition for it. Like, there's not even any scientific definition for how DNA actually builds a human body.
Right.
The typical response is we just activate these parts of the DNA gets activated for your arm, and this one gets activated for your dick, and this one's for your other arm. Well, how does it know? And how does it know how many skin cells to make? How does it? They don't fucking know.
Well, how about even when you look at cancers? Like everyone says, oh, you've got the genes for cancer. Well, there isn't one gene for cancer.
No.
Each cancer is a whole plethora of genes and a miscode that happens in there. So, I mean, and let's talk about this in a future podcast. The whole epigenetics talk, and and here's what I have to say about this. A lot of us in this culture wait for someone to show us how to do something, right? And I think what you're getting at here, and what I want to take away from it, like when I'm learning more about this, is your limit is your mind. You can sit there and you can start playing with this your own way. Do it your way, and then call us and tell us what you did that worked or didn't work.
Right. Our number is
awesome.
7.
7 pound.
7.
Call Dan.
Yeah.
No, but I'm serious. Like, we each can pioneer our own process through this thing and then share our experiences. We'll get smarter together.
I think our number is 5318008, and then you turn the calculator upside down.
Does that say boobs?
It says boobies.
Well, that was the number I always try to remember.
Or is it 231?
Because the speak and spell always gave me away. 5, 8. If you're old enough to know what a speak and spell is.
Yeah. Boobies.
Yeah. Where are we at on time?
Oh, we got plenty of time. We got 10 minutes.
Yeah. So, all right. I get worried when I get on my tangents.
Right. Yeah. No.
So where do we go from here? How do we operate this? How do we get something from this?
Well, here's the thing.
Give something to it. How about that?
It's not a matter of taking anything from a 0 point field. It's not a matter of like, just like the last podcast with manifestation, you don't manifest a result, you manifest a path, right? In terms of the 0 point field, you don't say, I'm in control. You're You actually you say, I'm connected.
Ooh, I see.
Yeah. You're not just it ain't just you, brah. It ain't just you. Like, you're part of all of it, right? And so when you have these moments,
Is that how all pirates feel?
yeah,
I'm connected to you.
God, I love you.
Yeah,
I'm still gonna kill you.
My hook's over here, but it's really in you.
My eyes are over here. Stop looking at me, Hook.
Stop staring at me, Hook.
Now I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, that's what the ladies do. Get jealous of me, Hook.
why?
Why? I can't fathom why.
I don't know.
They'd be jealous of your hook.
Yeah.
I'm a hooker.
No, just we're in quicksand right now. We can't get out.
It's a quagmire.
It's a
Quagmire of bad jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's in the description. If people can't hang with that,
no,
you got to move on. Maybe Justin Bieber's got a podcast for you.
Yeah. So, I mean, the whole idea behind the 0 point field or the concept of this field, this ever present field is we can tap into it. Like, and people throughout time have tapped into it. Like, entering a shamanic state is, the word shaman, which is really funny to me anyways, whole nother tangent. The word shaman's a Russian word, I believe, but we use it for like everybody who doesn't do modern medicine.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So you're not accepted by modern medicine, therefore shaman.
Right. You're a shaman. Oh, and because medicine man or medicine woman was like a term of disrespect.
Of course it was.
So back, and they're like, oh, we're going to call them shamans. Right. So they use this. That's
what the hell was a medicine man then?
Well, anthropologists decided back in the 20s or 30s to use this word to change it to make it more acceptable to say, because there was actually people that were going on these consciousness journeys back in the day, right? Back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and they would go down to study these different cultures, right? And they would use ayahuasca. They would go in these altered consciousness states, and they come back with these profound experiences that they were shared experiences among an entire group, right? They were common. There was like these different things. They're like, oh yeah, that's what you saw. Of course you did. He's emblematic, or that's this being or that being or whatever. And so,
wow.
And they're like,
wait, that's a guy?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I mean, as a guy, for lack of a better term.
No,
right?
I mean that term without using guy or girl.
Right.
I just mean that's a thing. That's
an
dude.
An entity. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
entity is probably a better word.
And so they were like, this stuff ain't no fucking joke, right?
Yeah.
So they were like,
something's happening.
Medicine people. So they started calling it shamanism, right, to make it a more like acceptable anthropological term. Of like to sound more respectful. So that's kind of where it started. But now we look at like alternative medicine often as modern medicine, and you've even experienced this. You tell people at your normal fire department, you're like, oh yeah, I talk about like kind of an alternative look at the way that we view the world and stuff, and they laugh. Oh, it's not fucking science. You're like, look, buddy, it's science.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not only is it science, just because you don't understand it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Well, and go ahead and walk through an old folks home right now.
Right.
How's medicine doing?
Right.
How's living this way doing? And this is no disrespect for the wonderful people who have a vast, line of experiences and wisdom for the culture, but people are broken in older age here.
Right.
I don't think it should be that way.
No, and I mean, we're definitely diverging massively off topic into more of like almost a political arena.
I know. I feel like you're yelling at me though.
Wait, shut your fucking mouth. Shut your fucking mouth. Right. And so when it comes to this idea, this concept of what the 0 point field is, stop writing stuff down.
Nope. Just want to keep a record.
Oh my God.
Might need that later.
Yeah. For what exactly?
When I get real mad.
Yeah. Okay.
So go ahead.
Gonna hit me with that benign, right?
Yeah. I don't know if we even kept that podcast.
Yeah. Did we?
Or was Alex benign?
maybe we deleted that one.
I don't know.
He calls his right hand. He nicknamed it benign.
That's what it was called.
Right.
I didn't call it that.
That's what everyone else called it.
Yeah. Alex was my left and benign was my right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alex Cooley.
Didn't win a lot of fights.
No.
That's okay.
By not a lot. How many?
0 fights.
It's just like the 0-point field.
Yeah, that's how it correlates.
Right. There you go.
So
Yeah. So
could have used a little help from the 0-point field
right,
a couple
that's
times.
true. Yes, you didn't think about it right.
Yeah.
So we can use our own consciousness to start like manipulating our own reality, and ultimately, the 0-point field is how we're connected to everything. Right.
So the 0-point field plays completely into the manifestation talk and everything. As I mean, they're kind of a part of the other.
Right.
You know?
It also plays into the remote viewing. It plays into perception. It plays into all of it. Like, and it's ultimately, it's a grand explanation, right, for how we truly exist. The fact is all matter, everything that you understand as matter, right, as like mass, matter, the
Sure.
table, the microphone,
All the stuff.
is compressed energy.
Right.
It's just compressed energy, and energy has no real true form.
So therefore, the 0-point field, everything.
Yeah. Therefore,
Jesus, it's so big.
So therefore, all I'm saying is that we exist in a state where we're measurably 4-dimensional, because that's what we can just sort of take in without thought.
We can wrap our head around it.
Right, and that's how we kind of experience this life, is 4-dimensionally.
Mm-hmm.
But just because we experience this world 4-dimensionally does not mean we don't exist in other dimensions, in other states of being, in other fields of existence. That's what I'm saying. And that's how I'm saying, like, as far as the 0-point field's concerned, it's a really neat and amazing thought that science has actually pierced the veil of mysticism, in a sense.
It blurred the lines pretty bad there.
Right. And said,
Really bad.
I don't know where one begins and the other one ends, right? And, we can talk about how, like, all these studies that have gone on about, like, meridians and energy and how the human body emits energy at different levels, and how we even emit photons, right? And I talked about that before.
Yeah.
We actually emit...
It just pops out.
Right. Electrons emit, they like excite them, and then but we actually use photons to communicate with our own body, right, through microtubule, and or potentially they think so, not 100%, right, but they think like that's how our body potentially communicates also, is through photons, right? So we are this massively complex, right, thing that in many ways mimics our own universe, right? And we are so interconnected to it that we've actually proven to ourselves time and again that we can travel through it regardless of space and time with our own consciousness. Yet here we are as a species going, yeah, I don't know about that, Johnny.
I can't do that. I don't.
Yeah.
That's a bunch of woo-woo BS.
Yeah, my car still needs gas, you dumb fuck.
Yeah. I need to go to work.
Yeah. So,
I love it.
yeah.
I love it. So what are we going to talk about next?
I don't know. What do you want to talk about?
Well, you sent me a nice text talking about possibilities for shows.
All right. And what did you come up with?
Well, we can compare if you'd like.
Sure.
Dan wants to talk about, so dumb, what are chakras?
Oh, yeah.
Which I totally do want to talk about that.
Let's do that one soon.
And more on the breathing in the cold,
yeah.
for sure, and how we can all utilize that. And then Reiki with your wife, Trina.
Yeah. She's a Reiki master.
Yep. And then, things like that. And what is warrior heart?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, explain that a little bit.
Sure. When we do a podcast about it.
Okay. Son of a... And then alternative healing and why it works.
Right.
And healing with food and stuff like that.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. Those are great ideas.
And then what we'll probably end up going with is fire ants, kill them or keep them to spread on your enemies.
Right. That
was one of my ideas.
That's a...
It's going to be a hard-hitting show. Or if pooping is good, why do I cry?
while you poop?
I'll tell you during the podcast.
Oh, all right.
All right. Do ripped abs protect me against wizard spells?
Well, we were in Ashland for a while, so I mean,
I know, and I've let my abs go lately, so maybe that's kind of what's going on. How about number 4? If you chose to eat Pop-Tarts cold, are they still called Pop-Tarts or are they just tarts? Because they didn't pop out anything.
right. Well, they popped out of the place they were made.
All right, so it's still Pop-Tarts. All right, well, let's not do a show on that.
Okay.
And then number 5 is what happened to Tang, and what the hell are astronauts drinking now?
Ooh, that's a good one. That's deep.
So you guys can comment and see which you want. Dan's dumb ones or you want mine?
Right. Because yours are really
You come with me, I'll take you to the promised land. Mm-hmm. Fire ants, bro.
fire ants, bro. Okay. On that, we're actually out of time.
Okay, everybody. Hey, thanks for showing up again.
Yeah, I appreciate you all. If you listened.
If you,
Yeah, and if you didn't, then
I still love you,
Right, then you're not hearing this, so it doesn't matter.
but I love you.
Right, but I'll put it out into the field. Screw you, people.
No, no.
No, that's not how it works.
Just got to end this thing. It's off the rails.
All right, bye.